My name is Rahul Sharma. I've been in the corporate America for 20 years, transforming people, transforming leaders, and ensuring that people who wants to move to the next level, they take steady steps. It's all about taking steps. We all may be great individuals, but if we have to the next level, we have to work as one team.
Ever wondered what it's like to have an offshore team working for you right here in the Philippines?
I work with a Canadian client. Nesda provides me everything from workstation, a stable internet, and HR support, and a team that feels like family.
Working with Nesta's workforce outsourcing team is fast-paced, exciting, at times challenging, but that's exactly what makes it rewarding. It's an opportunity to collaborate with people from diverse culture, gain new knowledge and skills, and be part of a team that supports clients across the globe. We are Nesda Workforce Outsourcing.
Thinking of expanding your global team? Email us at contactus@nesdaglobal.com.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of The Climb, the Confident Leader podcast, where we share stories of leaders moving from invisible to becoming an influencer. I'm your host, Rahul Karan Sharma, and today we have an amazing guest coming from Silicon Valley. She's the founder and CEO of Silicon Valley Executive Academy. With over 25 years of leadership experience in high-tech industries, she brings a unique fusion of deep business acumen. She's an MBA from UC Berkeley, and she's a psychological insight, PhD in psychology, to the way we think about leadership in the age of AI. Her passion, burnout-proof leadership, helping executives not only to navigate the relentless pace of technological change, but also lead with clarity, resilience, and a deep sense of purpose. Team, please welcome our guest, Victoria Mensch, to our show. How are you doing, Victoria, today?
I'm doing very well, Rahul. Thank you very much. I'm happy to be here. Very excited.
Awesome. You're doing amazing work when it comes to the burnout. Burnout is kind of a talk of the town and really important for today's leaders as to how to move away from that burnout stage to more on the harmonious stage. So before we do a deep dive on that subject, Victoria, please enlighten our listeners with your leadership story.
My story is a story of pivoting
Okay.
and really looking for my passion. So I was in that search for passion. And out of high school, I thought I wanted to be a psychologist. So that's kind of what I followed. I got my master's, I got my PhD, and then I started working as a psychologist. And then about a year in, I realized that this is not it. I really cannot take it anymore. I don't like it. I made a mistake. I thought it was my passion. I followed it, and it was a mistake. So I started to look around to see what I can do with the skills that I have, and decided to move to corporate world into a marketing role. And that coincided with my move to Silicon Valley. And that's how I found myself in the high-tech industry. So there was a lot of things that I really liked about this industry and still do. The innovation part is very important for me to dream about new products, to see how technology changes our lives. And there are some things in that environment that really did not sit well with me, that I wasn't very close with people. And the pace and the pressure to innovate and come up with new stuff each and every day and compete really based on that, that was very hard on me. So about 3-4 years in, I found myself in the same situation. I thought I was passionate about this. I thought it was a good career. And then I found myself again tired, unmotivated, very cynical. My physical health started to dwindle. And I thought, well, I made another mistake. So I need to change my career one more time. And I did a few steps. So after several of those changes, one day I realized that it's probably not the career, it's probably not the company, and it's not the environment. I really need to make fundamental changes in myself and how I relate to this external circumstances. And that's how I started to look into the burnout, and to help myself to find much more sustainable ways to deal with that.
Awesome. Oh, what a interesting story, and how fortunate you are to identify the core problem. The core problem was not in the external factors, it was more internally, and that's how you focused on dealing with that burnout. So thank you for that motivating story, Victoria. Now, as you were pivoting, and as you were moving from companies to companies, what kind of mindset shift you had to go through, Victoria, to really come up as a champion, to really come up as a true winner at the end of the journey?
Well, there were several milestones, I would say, but I want to go back to a very specific moment when I realized that it's really my internal perspective that matters a lot. I was in the middle of another launch. It was,
Okay.
one of those when you work, I don't know, 20 hours, 80 hours a week and sleepless night, and you really just survive on sheer caffeine
Mhm.
and strong will. And somewhere in the middle of the day, I had to pick up my son, who was, I don't know, 6 years old, maybe, from a carpentry class. And as I'm driving, stressed, overwhelmed, really tired, under the burden of all those expectations that, provided with this launch, and, with working with so many people in a high stake environment. And I was thinking about that teacher of a carpenter lesson. It's like, oh, well, he did the right choice, right? What a wonderful role to be. What a wonderful place to be. Why am I subjecting myself to this high pressure, high stress environment when I can do something like that? I can quit, and I can find something very nice and low stress, working with kids, with very kind of nice and kind environment. And when I came there and I asked him casual, it's like, how are you doing? And you wouldn't believe what he told me. He said, I am so stressed. I am overwhelmed. It's too much that's going on. And that was really that moment. And I looked at that. It really doesn't matter where you are. You can be very, that multi-billion-dollar product, a launch lead, or you could be a carpenter, a teacher. It's really your environment and your relationship with that environment that matters. His stress, his burnout was as big as mine, though I was looking at him and I thought, well, oh, that's a really nice and low stress environment. So that was really a pivotal moment for me. Is that a lot of what I do and a lot of how I lead and how I want to develop really comes with self-leadership. So that's what I started to do. That one was that pivotal moment. It's like, okay, what can I do to actually change my relationship with everything around me? How can I create what I want to create in my life consciously, intentionally?
Awesome. So the listeners, my takeaway from this conversation, just this one question from Victoria, is it's all about knowing yourself. Self leadership was the key factor for Victoria to move from where she was and where she is now today. And if we as leaders cannot lead ourselves, it will be very, very challenging for us to lead others. So self-leadership is one of the critical aspects. So thank you, Victoria, for dropping that golden nugget for our listeners. Now, I understand you did your master's as well as the PhD. So as a PhD psychologist and a Silicon Valley leader, what are some of the mindset shift you think today's leader should take from moving from that reactive burnout to more a proactive harmony?
Mhm. What was interesting for me when I started looking into this topic was that this harmony that we're talking about, it's not one dimensional. It's really a combination of several factors, and there's research that supports this as well. So our job And when we talk about leadership, we tend to talk about leadership at work, right? So our job is just one element of that. You want to have a job as a means of financial security. That's very important. That's a big bucket in that harmony. We also want to have a purpose in life, and sometimes job and purpose align, and sometimes they're not aligned. But the purpose could be elsewhere, not within the job, right? So the job should be aligned and you want to enjoy it. But in terms of the purpose, there's a broader definition of that. So purpose is, and meaning is an important element to that harmony. Your vitality, your energy is very important piece as well. If you are not in good health, if you're tired, if you have lacking energy, if you don't have that sense of vitality, it's very hard to experience that harmony. Your relationship with others, not just within the organization, not just within the work environment, but with the larger community, with your relatives, with your friends, that's a big element that contributes into that harmony as well. So when we're talking about work life, I really like to talk about harmony because it allows for all these different parts. It's not just there's work and there's life. And if there's more work, there's less life. And there's more life, there's less work. Yeah. It's not that, right? So it's not really a balance. But when you start looking at harmony, and then you have all these different elements to play with, and some of those are more important in one stage of life, and some of those are more important in other stage of life, but all of them have to be present for you to experience that harmony and flourishing and really feel like you're on top, not only from a success perspective, but also from a happiness.
Wow. So learning for me is harmony is not one-dimensional. It is multi-dimensional. So when you are looking for that, the work-life balance, don't just look at work in life. There are a lot of other factors, unknown factors, the factors that could be your blind spot that we need to really look into it. And one such factor Victoria mentioned about is your people with whom you are surrounded, your family, your relatives, your friends. So they also play a vital role in bringing that harmony. So thank you, Victoria, for sharing that golden nugget with us. Now, I noticed when I was doing my research, I see that you talk a whole lot about burnout-proof leadership, that too, especially in the age of AI. So from your perspective, how does AI fuel the burnout and offer an opportunity for our audience to really make a fulfilled balance between work-life?
Mm-hmm. On the large scale of things, AI is a disruption. And we talk about disruption, especially here in Silicon Valley, we talk about disruption a lot. But disruption is not going away. So artificial intelligence is one of those technological disruptions that's out there, and arguably the biggest one. So whatever we think AI is going to do, how it's going to impact the way we work and the way we live, we probably underestimate that long-term impact. We probably overestimate the short-term impact. That's where the burnout is coming from. It's like our first reaction is to fear, right? And find security. So what if this happens? What if that happens? But in the long term, we probably underestimate the impact of that. So I'm going to talk about the shorter term of this. As a disruptor, it brings that fear in a lot of companies and a lot of people. What if my job will be replaced? So the position that we take at Silicon Valley Executive Academy, that for sure some of the functions are going to be replaced inevitably, but it's a good thing for people who really want to lead their career in the future, because this is this fantastic tool that will support them in that sense. So if you look at the intellectual jobs, so the most jobs that are really at risk here are those who require a lot of intellectual activities, analysis, research, and a lot of that can be outsourced to AI and can be done much quicker. At the same time, if you master the tools to help you perform your job, that's a wonderful opportunity to really advance quickly. So let's say between a lawyer who doesn't use AI and the lawyer who does use AI, the lawyer who does use AI is going to advance and going to secure his position much more firmly than the lawyer who doesn't. As an example, or let's say a coder who uses AI as a support and the coder who doesn't use AI as a support. The coder with the use of AI is going to support his position and secure his career much more firmly than the one who doesn't. So there's this element of, well, let's use this as a tool and take advantage of this in a good sense to support whatever it is that I want to do in this job. At the same time, if you look at the competitive advantage, what's going to be at the premium and is already at the premium is your creativity, your authenticity, your uniqueness, your unique way of solving problems, and that drive to solve them. So that's what we're talking about. It's what I like to say is that it's almost an opportunity for us to be more human, which is fantastic.
Wow, what a great perspective that you are bringing with this AI. So as you rightly mentioned, yes, AI is a disrupting tool, but how you take the advantage of the AI and how you use it to ensure that you get more time to do things that you love. So for example, you want to work out, and today you are spending, let's say, 2 hours in something. With this amazing tool, you can do those things in a shorter time and go for a walk, go spend more time with the family, or probably do that relationship building that you were not able to do because you didn't have time. What advice would you give to those executives who are in that high pressure environment, how they can really integrate their work-life balance? What would be some of the tips from your perspective, Victoria?
So what I usually start with is that there's so many things that are outside of our control. As an executive, you are on top of the world, literally, right? So you worked really hard to get there. You checked all the check boxes, you climbed the ladder, and people who come to us, they stand on that ladder and they look around and they say, is this all there is to it? So even though if you are successful by all accounts, but you feel like life kind of lost its colors. So now it's really time to bring those colors back, and you do it intentionally. So the way I started and the way I tell people to do that is to really intentionally bring joy back into your life. So the first step you do, you put together a list of 20 activities that you like, that you feel happy when you're doing them. And the only reason for those activities to be on the list is to bring that happiness. It's not because you have to do it. It's not because you should. It's not because it brings return on investment. It's not because somebody asked you to. The only reason for them to be there is to make you happy. And then you pick 3 of those and you put them on your calendar and you do them every day. You do 3 activities that bring you joy every day. And that's how you bring that back intentionally, as I said. It's a permission for yourself to experience that joy, but also knowing that that's how you replenish your energy. You matter, your happiness matter, your joy matter, your energy matter, and that's how you start turning the ship from burnout to harmony.
Wow. Great perspective. And I think after listening to you, my own perspective around this burnout is really changing for good. So thank you for bringing all that wisdom with our listeners today, Victoria. Now, for our audience, Victoria, please enlighten us how you help your clients. What do you do to really make that work-life balance integrated for your clients? And if any of our listeners want to work with you, wants their leaders to work with you, how they can reach out and how they can work with you?
We run a variety of programs. So burnout leadership strategies is just one of those. The other ones that we run is how artificial intelligence impacts your industry. So we bring all the kind of wisdom of Silicon Valley to those custom immersion programs. So if you have a team of leaders who want to see what's going on in the valley, what's going on in this field, and how it's going to impact strategically what they do. Those are the programs that we run. From the burnout perspective, the same way you can reach out to me. We have those immersion programs that help, but we also have one-on-one programs and one-to-many group programs when we do mentorship for implementing those techniques and skills into your everyday life, because that's how it is. You make the changes and you integrate those changes into your life, and it goes much better when you do it in a group with the support and people who cheer you on this path. So LinkedIn is the best way to reach out. There's a button there. You can schedule a call or DM me. I'm happy to talk about this. Or go on our website, svexecutive.academy, where you could see a broader range of programs and services.
Connect with her, get in her inner circle, and look at all the things that she is doing for ensuring that the stress that our leaders are having today, how they can mellow down that stress, how they can, first of all, not get into that stressful situation. Removing stress when you are already stressed is one thing, but what if you don't get into that stressful situation? How you can control, how you can become calm, and that's what her program and her team is doing. So kudos to you and your team, Victoria, for doing that amazing work. Now, we have this fun segment, Victoria, where we ask 5 questions with our guests. It's a rapid fire round. And without thinking too much, we would want you to give response to these questions. Are you ready for it?
Let's bring it on.
Absolutely. So, a quotation that you live by, your favorite quotation that you really stick to.
Yeah. So I do have one. It's called Faith Over Fear. I tend to get into fear very easily. But I work through it, and that's what helps me. Faith over fear.
Awesome. Faith over fear. What is one daily routine that you never skip?
I really enjoy my time in the morning. It's on the ritual level to prepare myself either coffee or matcha latte, and I enjoy it on my terrace uninterruptedly, and that's what sets the mood for my day. Remember, I was talking about those activities that bring joy into my life, so that's one of those for me.
Awesome. Are you a morning person or a night owl?
I'm a morning person.
What's one leadership skill you wish someone would have taught you earlier?
I remember one of the turning points for my career was when somebody said that you should look at your career as it was your business.
Mm.
And that was a very interesting mindset, because before that, we're all saying it's like, I cannot take this corporate job anymore. I want to go and have my own business. But that was a really interesting moment for me to turn and look at my career as that business. So I am that entrepreneur, even within the corporate environment. So what would I do differently now that I know that this is mine? So taking ownership of that, taking ownership of the career, taking ownership of the outcomes of my work and my decisions at work, that's the advice that I wish I received earlier.
What a great advice and great reflection to give. So thank you for sharing that input. Now, the final one, if your career were a Netflix series, Victoria, what would be the title of season 1 be?
Continuous learning.
Continuous learning. Okay, awesome. And before we move further, I wanted to seek your inputs on one of the framework that we work at Study Steps, Victoria, Climb framework, where we talk about 4 leadership stages that leaders move on from invisible to becoming a potential, to becoming an achiever. And from achiever, either you lead to burnout, or if you're able to navigate your path, successfully, then you move into an influencer. So based on your experience with working with leaders in Silicon Valley, how do you see these stages? Does it resonate well? Does they still exist? Can you pinpoint the people that you work with in any of these stages? Your inputs, please.
Yes, I believe it holds in Silicon Valley as well. I do want to say that you can probably experience burnout in each and every of those stages.
Yeah.
From the high achievers, the way when I usually get to interact with high achievers, is at that point, how do I turn? I already achieved what I set out to achieve, right? As I said, I checked all the check boxes. I climbed the ladder, and now I'm looking at what's next. So at that point, I think there is a choice to make. And if you apply kind of the framework that we have, I think the choice that you make is going to be much more sustainable. Because a lot of people, when they come to that point, they really come to the points like, oh, I'm going to quit, right? So I cannot take it anymore. So it's you're climbing. You're at this point that I cannot take it. I'm going to quit. So then if you implement the steps to kind of calm down and give yourself a chance to look at that environment in a more sustainable and aware manner, then you can make the choices that are much more sustainable, that are not damaging to your career, to your financial situation, and so on and so forth. So I believe that that framework that you described is actually very useful and definitely can be applied to those executives that I normally work with.
Thank you, Victoria. Before we let you go, I want to share my learnings from the show today. And listeners, people who are watching on YouTube or Apple or Spotify, please put in your comments, what is your biggest learning from today's episode? That would be so grateful. For me, the first one is it's always important for us to look internally when things do not go our way. Most of the times we tend to look at things externally. But in Victoria's case, she introspected and she realized that the self-leadership was the key for her, and that was pivotal for her career journey. So if you are having some challenges, issues, don't pinpoint on others. Do that introspection internally. Self-leadership is key. The another perspective I learned is harmony is not just one-dimensional. It's multidimensional. There are multiple pieces to it. It's just not your work. It is about your life, your personal life, your family, your friends, your people, inner circle people. All those matter. So it's not just one thing going good, another does not go good to the problem. It has to, everything has to go in one direction. Or when I say one direction, means seamlessly, because your family could be a big support when things does not go your way at work. Lastly, AI, yes, it is a disruption, but at the same time, how you can leverage this tool to really create a bandwidth for yourself, to really do things more smarter way, a better way, and give more time to the tasks that you could not do before. It could be relationship building. It could be, talking to your friend, going for a walk, or maybe taking on something new that you really loved or your passionate project. These are some of the great learnings that we had from our episode from Victoria. Victoria, once again, if a listener is already dealing with burnout today, and she or he just tuned into our podcast, what would be your word of wisdom to that person who is dealing with burnout today?
Remember that your joy, your happiness matter, and bring that joy intentionally back into your life. And we have tools for that.
Awesome. With that said, so person who's listening, bring your happiness back. You and your loved ones want to know more things, you have to do amazing things because you have greatness in you. So thank you, Victoria, for coming to our show. It was been a pleasure to know about your journey and to know the perspective on burnout and how to bring harmony. So thank you again for coming to our show.
Thank you very much, Rahul. Very happy to be here.